delivery options near you, or you can pretty much pick up some Miller Lite anywhere they sell beer. Cheers to 50 years of Miller time. Celebrate responsibly.
What's poppin'? Welcome to, hang on. Gotta go live here. Gotta go live here. How do I do all this? FaceTime, okay, go live. Go live. Go live, here we go. Okay, welcome on in. Let me turn this camera down a little bit. Welcome on in. It is ZakIsDaily. I'm your humble host, Zachariah. Follow me on X or Twitter, depending on how old you are, at Zak Sports, ZAK Sports. That's my name. That's my main handle. You can also follow me at ZakIsDaily, ZAKIS Daily. I might be changing the name of the show here at some point. I'm doing this podcast, well, number one, because I should be doing it. But number two, because my agent, whose government name shall remain nameless, I won't call him by his government name. I just call him Ari, like from Entourage. Man, is that show so young that people don't even know what Entourage is anymore? Anyways, this guy told me he was not going to talk to me until I did a podcast. And since I'm going to my besties, young Artavan Davron, his government name I will give. Since I'm going to his house tonight and tomorrow out in Brentwood, I'm going to record one before the 4th of July, which, by the way, happy 4th of July, everybody. You know what I mean? Even if you think we have problems with this country, there are some good parts. You know what I mean? So, happy 4th of July. Okay, that's enough of that. I'm going to bring some fireworks and all these. These are like glow-in-the-dark glasses and whatnot. So, should be a good couple of days. I'm going out there tonight. I'll come back Saturday, enjoy the fireworks and whatnot. What I'm rocking right now, in case you're wondering, is a Charles Barkley USA jersey, because we know how much I love Charles. You should check this painting out. I want to get a bigger version of this and frame it. So anyways, I'll be doing this more frequently starting Monday. And you know why? It's because you need me. You people, you need me around this time, because this is the time where there's not a lot of sports. There's no basketball. Football hasn't started yet. Baseball is kind of in that June swoon, middle of the year. There's going to be the All-Star break. So you know what the people do that can't come up with good content? They take vacation, or they do stupid segments that are not really entertaining, and they expose themselves as not really being good at this craft, which I am fantastic at. I think I'm actually better when there's less sports to talk about. Of course, there is sports to talk about, and I will get to that. Now, the biggest thing that people have been talking about, first of all, I want to rewind here for a second, because I haven't really been on to air my thoughts on the NBA Finals, which, even though I know the NBA and most of the American public, not huge on Indiana versus OKC, it was a fantastic 7-game series. So can't really get mad at that. But number one thing that stuck out, 3 superstars that wear number 0 all popped their Achilles in the playoffs. Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard, and Tyrese Halliburton. That's weird. So if you're raising your kids to play hoop, don't have them play number 0, unless you're not superstitious. Also, I can't help but think there's a pretty big asterisk on this OKC title, because the biggest concern of people that picked them, now granted, they had the best record in the regular season. They had not only the scoring champion, but the regular season MVP, the conference finals MVP, and the finals MVP. So I'm not saying they didn't have a good team, and they played terrific defense, and they won that game 4, which really, I think, ultimately decided the entire series. Look, they won fair and square, but Tyrese Halliburton popping his Achilles midway through the first quarter in game 7 of the finals, when he was out there chucking like Steph from damn near half court, sorry, asterisk. Because the main concern about the Thunder is that they were too young, they hadn't been there before, and they might get, their sphincters might get a little tight. if it comes down to it. And I would have loved to have seen if that would have been the case and they would have choked Game 7 on their home court. But we'll never know, because as soon as Halliburton went out, and you heard Obi Toppin talk about it and a lot of other Pacers players, once your main guy goes down, not only the best player on your team, but the heart and soul, the captain, once he goes down, it's hard to rebound from that. So I got an asterisk, which led me to think about how many asterisk titles are there? Let me take you to 2007 when the Spurs beat the Suns in either the second or the third round because Boris Diaw and Amari Stoudemire got suspended for walking 2 steps away from the bench because David Stern was a narrow-minded moron, God rest his soul. He did great things for the NBA, but that was stupid. And he was stupid in a lot of other things in the way that he handled the league. So there's one. Both Rockets championships, because let's be honest, grew up as a Barkley fan, and unfortunately, Barkley was one of the victims of Michael Jordan, along with Gary Payton and Sean Kemp and John Stockton and Karl Malone and Clyde Drexler, even though he ended up winning one with the Rockets. And who else did he beat? Well, the Lakers already had one, but he beat the Lakers, all the Knicks teams, the Pistons teams. I mean, Jordan was just, he was the only one winning them. Then, allegedly, conspiracy theory people, if you want to look it up, he got suspended / asked to walk away from the game, even though he disguised it as he wanted to play baseball. He was obviously dealing with the death of his father, but there are some rumors that there was some gambling scandal stuff going on. Anyways, both Rockets championships, as good as Hakeem the Dream was, as good as who else? I don't even know who the second best player on that team was. Kenny Smith, maybe? Vernon Maxwell? Anyways, got asterisks for those 2 titles. The Lakers' last title with Kobe. God rest his soul. As much as I hated Kobe, I cried when he died. I was a big fan of Mamba mentality, even though I was rooting against him all the time. And when he won that Game 7 against the Celtics, that was baloney. They should have lost that game. Kendrick Perkins got hurt, couldn't play, and they wouldn't have won. Ron Artest hit a 3 off the backboard. I think Kobe shot 6 of 24 in the game. Asterisk title. Then you got the Raptors title, which here in the Bay Area, we know very well. Kawhi Leonard won the title with the Raptors, but they beat a Warriors team that didn't have Durant, Achilles, and didn't have Klay Thompson, torn ACL. Asterisk title. We have this any strike shortened season, which the Spurs won. I believe it was the first one for David Robinson and the last one for David. Well, the first and last one for David Robinson and the first one for Tim Duncan. That's got an asterisk. Actually, the Warriors in 2015, the Cavs didn't have Kyrie Irving or Kevin Love. That's an asterisk for that Warriors title, in my opinion. And then also the Cavs won, the only one that they have, the only one that they'll ever get. They shouldn't have any. I call it Leave Land. So I hate to isolate any of my fans in Cleveland, but that is the armpit of America. And it's Leave Land, and your Cleveland Browns, I call them the poop stains because they're terrible, who gave all that guaranteed money to Deshaun Watson, will never win a Super Bowl. They actually moved out of Cleveland and went to Baltimore, and now they are the Ravens, and the Ravens have 2 Super Bowls. The Browns have none. I digress. The Cavs won where they won that title. That's got an asterisk too because Draymond's dumb bleep kicked LeBron in the you-know-what when they were up 3-1 and they end up losing on the Kyrie 3. But Bogut was also hurt for that series. So that's got an asterisk. Anyways, there's a few other asterisk titles, but I just wanted to put that to bed in terms of the actual season for the NBA. Congratulations to OKC. They obviously have a very crazy fan base, is one way of phrasing it. And it's their first title, not the first in the organizations, because the team should still be in Seattle, which is neither here nor there. But that's another thing David Stern did, is allow his rich buddy who was from Oklahoma City buy the team in Seattle and then move it to Oklahoma City when Seattle has no business not having a basketball team. And I think if they do expand, they will get one. So now let's go to free agency. Number one, talk about a desperate move by the Milwaukee Bucks. You have Dame Lillard, which nobody talks about. You traded Ja Rule Holiday in that trade to the Blazers, who then went to the Celtics and won a title. But you traded for the bigger name in Dame, and it didn't go so well. Then he pops his Achilles in the playoffs, and now you have Dame. He pops his Achilles, and now you buy out his contract that you're going to pay about $25 million or something over the next 4 or 5 years. And you sign Miles Turner, I'm assuming hoping that you're going to keep the alphabet, as I like to call him, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't think that that's going to be enough to keep him around. And there was reports that I read that he was not happy that Dame got cut. So, other moves in free agency, the Knicks got deeper. And one of the biggest things, and one of the reasons why Thibodeau got fired from the Knicks, is that he gassed his starters too much and he didn't play his bench enough. And so the players were more worn down as the season went along, and specifically when they got into playoff series. So they added, I think right now, in terms of the Eastern Conference, it's the Knicks conference to lose, because the Celtics are not going to be what you'd think they'd be because Tatum's gone. The Bucks, who knows what's going on, but they definitely don't have Dame. He would have been out for the year anyway. And the Pacers not only lost Miles Turner, but they're not going to have Halliburton because of the Achilles. So that leaves teams like Detroit and Orlando and Cleveland, who was the number 1 seed last year, who I'm not poo-pooing. I just see the Knicks being the best team in the East. Underrated move that happened to the Golden State Warriors is Looney leaving for the New Orleans Pelicans. What? Why? Huh? You know, there's been all this talk about Jonathan Kuminga, and rightfully so. Again, a lot of my friends on text threads, if you're not on your friends' text threads or you get off your friends' text threads, I encourage you to stay on them. It's how you stay connected. I'm probably going to say that once a podcast. But I firmly believe in text threads, email threads, you know, because when you get older, married, kids, all that stuff, you don't see each other as much. The threads keep your friendship going. Anyways, on those threads, Kerr has gotten a lot of flack about not handling the young guys properly. And I think that there is something to that. I think Wiseman probably would have been a bust one way or the other. I don't know necessarily that you could point at a bunch of other guys. I mean, Podziemski has thrived at times, right? Moses Moody has thrived at times. Kuminga specifically, though, seems to really either like irk Kerr. I don't know exactly what's going on, but Kuminga's name was brought up in big-time trades, specifically one to the Jazz for Lauri Markkanen. And there's been other times where I've seen his name floated out where the Warriors could have gotten probably some good value on him. Now he's a restricted free agent. I don't know specifically where he's going to go. I saw him as like the top 3 remaining free agents. But I want to focus more on Looney, because Looney was a big part of those 4 championships. And he was kind of a grit guy along with, you know, Draymond. But he was a guy that provided tough rebounding, tough defense, stuff like that. So I thought that I didn't hear anybody talking about Looney being gone. But him being gone is kind of a big deal, which leads me to the final biggest probable piece. I mean, if you want to call it that, because I don't really believe that he's going to leave, but there's a lot of rumors about LeBron James. And my gut instinct tells me that he's got too much off the court stuff going on in LA to leave there. And it's also not like he doesn't have a decent team down there with Luka. And I saw they just signed DeAndre Ayton. But they say the top 4 spots for him to go, they say number 1 is Cleveland. And that would be kind of a storybook ending. And Lord knows, with all the, you know, film and television stuff that LeBron's gotten into, he probably would want a storybook ending. And they were a number 1 seed, and they've got a lot of talent. So it's possible he could end his career where he started. That was number 1. Number 4 was Dallas. I just don't know what would go back. They just made the trade, Luka for Anthony Davis. So I don't know what pieces would go back from Dallas to LA. I mean, all of these are going to have to be a sign and trade because he just opted into like a 50-year or $45 million contract, whatever absurdity that was. Number 2 on the list, I know I'm going all around, 1, 4, 2. 2 on the list was the New York Knicks. And I think the New York Knicks have wanted LeBron since LeBron entered the league. And every time he was coming close to free agency, specifically that time where he made the decision, the Knicks really thought that they were going to get him. And I think between the market, it's the number 1 market in the United States, and you've got the Mecca, you've got Madison Square Garden, and just how crazy the Knicks fans would go if they were to make that move. I think that's a possibility. And some of the money and the player stuff would add up. OG Anunoby would have to go, and I believe Mitchell Robinson would have to go. And then you look at the Knicks. I mean, they're definitely in win now mode, but you got Karl Anthony Towns. You keep Josh Hart. You got Jalen Brunson. New coach Mike Brown stepping in. And LeBron in New York. That would be a huge deal. And then the third team I don't have on me. And this is where I definitely need some sort of producer or intern to help me out so I can have stuff in front of me and be a little bit more prepared. Put graphics, on the video while I'm doing this. Again, I'm just basically showing my agent how bootlegged I can do it. And I'll tell him how much better it can be. But I'm just trying to get him off my back. But yeah, those are the basic things that are off the top of my dome. I'm going to run so that I don't get to my besties too late. But I'm always going to throw something non-sports at the end of all my podcasts. And I'm just going to say this about driving as I'm about to probably get into some traffic. If you are going straight at a light, move as far over to the left as you can. So if there's somebody going right at the light, they can get around you and go right and not have to wait at the light. Very similar if you're going left at a light. Again, get all the way to the left as you can. Put your blinker on as easily as possible and quickly as possible so that people can go around you. Okay? I feel like everybody would have a better driving experience if we just knew those 2 things. There's a bunch more on the road I'm sure I can bring up, but those are the 2 things that chat my hide the most on a regular basis. Anyways, everybody, be safe out there. Don't blow your hand up like Jason Pierre-Paul. Kids, if you don't know that reference, go ahead and Google it. He was messing with some fireworks or something and blew his hands up. So be careful with your fireworks. Be careful driving. Don't drink and drive. None of that stuff. No fighting. Get along with all your family, friends, and loved ones. Have a great 4th of July weekend. It's on a Friday, so you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday to enjoy the holiday. And I'll be back on Monday, hopefully with an intern or an assistant or a helper or some graphics or something like that. But this has been Zachariah on ZakIsDaily. I'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Holla!